we are living in a society where the very wealthiest people are becoming wealthier, middle class disappearing, poverty increasing. And that takes us to the budget situation that our Republican friends are pushing. At a time when the richest people are becoming richer, what the Republicans say is the answer is, let us give millionaires and billionaires even more in tax breaks. At a time when the middle class is in decline, poverty is increasing, what our Republican friends are saying, let us attack virtually every significant program that improves lives for low-income or moderate-income people. Rich get richer, they get more. Middle class gets poorer, they get less. Maybe that sense of morality makes sense to some people. It does not make sense to this senator, and I do not believe that it makes sense to the vast majority of the American people. Our Republican friends outlined their immediate budget proposals for 2011 for the CR in their bill, H.R. 1. Let me briefly review it, because I want everybody in America to understand what these folks want to see happen, and it's important that we discuss it. 50 million Americans have no health insurance today. Republican solution, slash $1.3 billion for community health centers, denying primary health care to 11 million patients. Now, what happens when you're sick, you have no insurance, you don't have any money, you can't go to a doctor? What happens? Perhaps you die, perhaps you suffer, perhaps you're lucky enough to get into a hospital and we spend huge sums of money treating you, which could have been treated a lot more cost-effectively through a community health center. Today, in my office, and I suspect in your office, Madam President, people will tell you that it takes too long for them to get their claims from the Social Security Administration, their disability claims, waiting lines, too long. Republican solution, slash $1.7 billion from the Social Security Administration, making seniors and the disabled wait even longer. Everybody in America knows how hard it is for a middle-class family to send their kids to college. Most significant federal program are the Pell Grant programs, making it easier for low and moderate-income families to afford college. Republican solution, slash $5.7 billion from Pell Grants, which means that over 9 million American students will lose some or all of their Pell Grants. Many of them will not be able to go to college. Madam President, every working family in America knows how hard it is today to find quality, affordable child care. Most American middle-class families, husband works, wife works, they want to know that their kids are in a safe, good quality child care center. For decades now, Head Start has done an excellent job in providing quality early childhood education for lower-income kids. In the midst of that child care crisis, Republican solution, slash Head Start by 20%, throw 218,000 children off of Head Start, lay off 55,000 Head Start instructors. And on it goes. In my state, it gets cold in the winter, 20 below zero. Many seniors living on Social Security can't afford escalating cost of home heating oil. Republican solution, slash $400 million in funding for LIHEAP, making it harder for seniors and other lower-income people to stay warm in the wintertime. But what we should be very clear of, Madam President, as we discuss the budget, is the Republican proposals for the continuing resolution for the remainder of fiscal year 2011 is only the first step in their long-term plan for America. And yesterday, what we saw is the real vision of the Republican Party for where they want to take this country into the future. And while I applaud them for being straightforward about that vision, I think the more the American people take a hard look at where they want the country to go, the more outrage will be millions and millions of citizens as they understand the Republican proposal for the future. Right now, if you are a senior citizen, you get sick, you need to go to the hospital, you have a health insurance program called Medicare, which has been life-saving for millions and millions of seniors. Republican budget, as outlined by Congressman Ryan yesterday, essentially ends Medicare as we know it, converts it into a voucher-type program that will leave seniors paying out of pocket for many life-saving health care costs. In other words, if you end up at the age of 75 with cancer or another illness, what the Republican proposal does is give a voucher to a private insurance company, $6,000, $8,000, we're not exactly sure. After that, good luck, you're on your own. You have an income of $15,000, you have cancer, how are you going to pay for that? The Republicans say there will be a voucher ending Medicare as we know it right now. The Republican proposal would force seniors to pay $3,500 more for prescription drugs. The proposal would reopen the prescription drug donut hole, requiring that seniors pay full price for prescription drugs. Madam President, at a time when so many of our people have no health insurance, the Republican budget contains $1.4 trillion in Medicaid cuts over 10 years by turning it into a block grant program. We are now reading in various states who have budget problems that their solution to the budget problems is simply to throw people off of Medicaid, including children. Well, what happens if you have no health insurance and you get sick? Madam President, we are beginning to talk about death panels. That's what we're talking about. If you are sick, you have no health insurance, what do? I guess you have options. You die, you get sicker, you suffer in ways that you did not have to suffer. The Republican proposal, as outlined by Congressman Ryan yesterday, also includes over $1.6 trillion in cuts over the next decade for education, Pell Grants, infrastructure, affordable housing, food stamps, food safety, and other vital programs for the middle class, the elderly, the sick, and the children. Madam President, what is also interesting, it is literally beyond belief to me, is that while the Republicans are slashing programs for low and middle income people, what they are also doing, I think people will think I'm not serious, but I am, at the same time as the rich are getting richer and they're slashing programs for low and moderate income people, the Republican budget plan would significantly lower taxes for millionaires and billionaires. So we cut Head Start, we cut Pell Grants, we cut community health centers, but at the same time, we give huge tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. Furthermore, the Republican proposal would also lower taxes for the largest corporations in this country. So, Madam President, my point here is we all do understand that this country has a serious deficit problem and a $14 trillion national debt. And I think every member of this Senate is concerned about the issue and wants to address it. The question is, do we move toward a balanced budget on the backs of the weakest, most vulnerable people in our country, on the backs of the poor, the children, the elderly, the disabled? That's one way you can do it. Or do you ask for shared sacrifice? Do you say to the wealthiest people in this country, do you say to the largest corporations in this country, you know, you're part of America too, and you've got to help us get out of this deficit crisis? Madam President, last week I issued a list of 10 major corporations, 10 major corporations who paid nothing in taxes in recent years, and in some cases actually got a rebate from the federal government after making huge profits. So to my mind, instead of cutting back on Head Start and Pell Grants and community health centers, which will have a devastating impact on low and moderate income Americans, maybe we might want to ask General Electric, which made $26 billion in profits over the last 5 years and received a $4.1 billion refund from the IRS, maybe we might want to ask them to pay something in taxes. I think it's a bit absurd that the average middle-class person pays more in income tax, federal income tax, than does General Electric. Maybe we want to change that. Maybe we want to ask Chevron, who made $10 billion in profits in 2009, who got a $19 million refund from the IRS, maybe they want to pay something in taxes so that we can move to a deficit reduction in a way that is fair. So here's the bottom line. The bottom line is corporate profits are at an all-time high. Richest people in this country are doing phenomenally well. Middle class is in decline. Poverty is increasing. Republican answer, more tax breaks for the very, very rich, lower corporate taxes, but stick it to working families in a horrendous way, which will cause massive pain. We are in a fork road in terms of public policy. Do we develop public policy here which protects all of our people, which expands the middle class? Or are we at a moment in history which moves this country aggressively toward oligarchy, in which you have a small number of people at the top with incredible wealth and incredible power, while the middle class continues to disappear? Now is the time, in my view, for working families all over this country to stand up and say, enough is enough. We need shared sacrifice as we go forward. We do not need to see the middle class in this country further disappear.